Well, welcome back. We are continuing looking at our shorty application where we're going to take a URL and we're going to do a shortener for it. So if you give me some big nasty thing, like for example, this one, I'm going to give you something simpler like this that you can use to get back to that. Now we early on built some functionality around it, and now we're working on the database side. So specifically this time, we're going to get into inserting a record into a table, and then how do you search a table for a record. Now, last time around, let's see, I'm going to clean these up a little bit so we don't have it all over the place. So we created a table. We created a database. Whoops, don't need that. And we created a database. And we have some nice little utility functions floating around as well, if I can click right. So what we're going to do this time is first thing we want to do is, and here's our little thing. We're going to come in. We are going to create our class that stores our database related stuff. Set the database name for it. We could actually put it up here, but we're going to do it this way. We're going to go ahead and connect, tell our database to connect. We don't need to create a table because we did it in the past. And then here we just had some extra stuff to list tables and look at that. But now this time, we're going to do list records. And we're going to give it a table name. Oh, we're going to give it a table name, and I'm going to have to write this one. And the table is going to be links, because that's what we created. If we go all the way up here, yep, links with a lowercase l. So let's do this first. Let's create that. And this is going to be... let's do list rows. Is that what I called it? I called it records. Let's do list rows. So you're going to get a little bit of bonus stuff here. And let's see here. Whoop. Don't need that, but I do need this. Whoop. Open that up. I want it to be the table name. And then here, I'm going to just simply do it this way. I'm going to do select star from... And then I'm just going to do table name. This is really simple. There are better ways we can do this, but we're going to go ahead and do it this way. I'll show you the better ways in a moment. We're going to execute it. We're going to get all the rows. We're going to print each row, and we're just going to print the whole row because we're going to get possibly a bunch of information. And there we go. So now, if we run list rows right now, I've got that, what we're going to see is nothing. Let's do it this way. Let's do print rows for the table. And so we have that table, but no, we have no rows. So let's create a few. And the way we do that is we're going to have three values that we're worried about. That ID, if you want to flashback, but we have an ID that just gets auto-generated, so we don't have to worry about that. The other three values that we have that we're tracking in our table are original link, code, and user ID. Code is basically how we're going to get our link back. So what we need to do is we just need to send the link, the code, and the user in. It's going to insert that record. You insert it. We've seen this before. We're going to do a little try except around it, but we're going to say, hey, insert into links. You give it in order the columns that you're going to be inserting into, which we're going to do. The table names are original link, code, and user ID. And this is where we're going to get a little bit smarter about how we do stuff. So in order to avoid SQL injection attacks and things like that, there are ways to protect your parameters a little bit. In this case, what we're going to do is we're going to say, hey, we have column 1, 2, and 3, which is original link, code, and user ID. And that means we're going to send value, which is a string. So %s means we're going to send a string, another string, and another string. Also, comma separated within the SQL. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to have this, basically the data that we're going to call it. We're going to have it a tuple. We'll call it that. And we're going to take the link, code, and user that we sent, those values, going to be put into that data, which means link is the first one. Is going to go to this %s. Code is going to go to this one. User is going to go to this third one. We're going to execute it. We're going to grab the ID of the row that we created, which is in this case, just last row ID, because it's going to be whatever the last row was that we did some sort of a transaction on. We're going to go ahead and commit, which we actually want to do that beforehand. Let's do it that way. And then we're going to return the new ID. So let's do a very simple record. We're going to come into MyID. Oh, let's do it before we do list rows. So here we're going to do MyDB, and we're going to, where do we put that? Insert record links. And it's going to be the original link, the code, and the user ID. So let's go look over here. And let's see, in our little, wait, where did I have it? Here we go. So let's do this one. So let's say this is my big link. So that's the first value I'm going to send is my big link. And then my user ID, I'll just be a 1. It doesn't really matter what it is. I mean, it does in a long run. Right now it doesn't. But then I'm going to give it, this is going to be my ID, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Whoops, wrong one. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And note those are all strings. Actually, that should be a string. It doesn't have to be because it'll convert it. Actually, we'll see. Let's go check that. If I don't make that a string, if I make that a number. And note, it's right Python. If you haven't noticed, we can swap double and single quotes as we want. If I come in here and I do a db create, boom. Now I see rows for the table. The ID is 1. Here's that big long URL. Here's the resulting or the code that I'm looking for, and then the user ID. So that gives us the first part of our question that we're working on this time is actually getting set up for how do I search a table for a record. So now what I want to do, because what we're going to end up doing is in the retrieve, in the navigate, we're going to give it a URL, and then it's going to need to spit out what was the bigger, you get the short URL, what's the bigger one. So what we're going to do here is sort of the same, is we're going to get one that we're going to call, let's call it retrieve link. And all we need to do here is send it the code. We could send it to user as well. We're going to send it the code for now. So this was going to be a little different. We don't need to, well, let's call this result. And let's just call this link not found. And then here, we want to select the original link, because that's all we really care about now, from links. And it's not SQL is not case sensitive, by the way. And then we're going to do where code equals %s. And now our tuple is just the code. Let's see, and then we want to, this time, this is like we're doing with the listing. So now we're going to execute it, and instead what we're going to do is rows equals cursor dot fetch all. Should be 1, and actually we could do that. We can say fetch 1, because it better be just one row. And so let's do this, row equals that. And then we're going to do, let's see, cursor close, we're going to return the result. And here, the result is going to be able to, let's just call it fetch 1, 0. We're going to take that first item out. Well, let's do it this way. We're going to do this. Let's do this first, because we're going to clean this up a little bit. So retrieve link, and we're going to present the result. So we're going to come here. We don't need to insert a record again. So we're going to do list rows, which is great. And then let's do this. Let's do first, let's retrieve link for, what did we call that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we're going to print that. So we're just going to call this search1. And then we're going to do search2. Let's do it this way. Let's just pick a different number. And let's see what we get from these two. So now we have an error in our SQL syntax. Data tuple equals code. Oh, I need to do it sort of like this. I think it's like this. I think it's what we want to do. Let's see if that works. There we go. So, let's see. Let me do it this way so it's a little easier to read. So the first time we come through, we search, and guess what? We get the, here's rows for the table. I'm sorry. And then we come back and we're going to get the result, which is this one, because we used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we're going to get that link back. Second time around, we got none. We didn't get anything. There was no record found. So where did we do that in the retrieve? So it did link not found. Oh, here it's going to be. So that would be if something totally broke, but otherwise we came through and it says, hey, there was nothing found. What we can do here is we can say if result, then result equals result 0. So we can sort of clean this up a little bit. If we do that, now we get just the full-blown link back. So what we've been able to do is we've shown a little bit extra. We've gone the extra mile a little bit here. We've shown how to insert a record and how to get a record back. We're basically doing it just whatever value you want to look for, we're going to do it. And this is for directly. We're going to get that record back. Now we could do rows. Instead of fetch one, we could do fetch all. In which case, then we would want to do something like, let's do rows equals that. And then we could do for row in rows, result equals row. And that assumes that there's going to be one. And if we do it this way, for row in row, now we get this. And now we're going to come out and it says that in this case, if nothing's found, it's just going to leave that original result, which says link not found. Otherwise, we're going to get our link out. And there's other things you do. You could do select star. You can get all the data like we did with our select. But this gives us, use that where, and now we can get some information out. And we can see how to wheel and deal with such information as well. So that takes care of us this time. We're going to come back, answer a few more questions as we continue working forward on our application. Thank you for your time, and we'll catch you again next time around.
Well, hello, this is Rob with Developreneur, also known as Building Better Developers. Wanted to announce that we have school.developreneur.com. Feel free to check it out if you like any of this information, any of the content that we've sent, and you would like to see more. You can come out, you can enroll for free. We have free courses. We've got places for you to get better at just learning a technology, our how-tos. You can work on your business skills. We can help you with becoming a better developer, as in coding and things like that. A lot of the stuff you've seen on YouTube, we also have out at school.developreneur. We just have it in a little more of a educational format and a way for you to track your progress as you move forward becoming a better developer.